Last month I watched episode 2, we are back, and before we get into it, a few little quick things. Episode 1 was not without its bugs, we've hopefully ironed out a few of them. Thanks to Nathan, I found out that I'd forgot to actually put the mic on last time I was recording, which is something I don't want to do. It's back on, as you can see, although I don't know if it even makes that much of a difference. It probably doesn't. Apparently also, I kept getting confused and saying either out of 10 or rating the film in terms of stars. I don't know what one I want to do yet. We're going to go with stars this episode, and then we're going to hopefully have a concrete decision by next time. But this is the December edition, which means it's festive, like I said in the last video. Obviously, this is dated as hell because you're watching this in January, so it's not even Christmas anymore. But not to fear, if you're still looking for a bit of Christmas spirit, you're at the wrong place, but I will try to supply that. I'm talking Christmas movies this month, not before my birthday because I don't want to put myself through that. We're talking my birthday, which we're probably just gonna watch a movie. I don't have much of a life. Real quick before we jump into the films from last month, I want to say that if you haven't seen the ratings video or you didn't watch the first episode of last month I watched, which was in November, then there's a card up above me right now or a link in the description that is going to take you to an unlisted video at the top of the last month I watched playlist, so that you can see my justifications for each star rating that I'm going to be giving to film, as well as some pretty controversial examples maybe. But that's enough about that, let's get into the December movies. Kicking off on December 1st, we said goodbye to the Harry Potter franchise with the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Part 2. This was my first time seeing both of those. Obviously, if you remember last month, I said I hadn't seen these movies before, as well as the Half-Blood Prince, and they were solid. I genuinely think Harry Potter might be one of the most consistently solid franchises that I have seen. I think from both filmmaking and acting perspectives, the conclusions were phenomenal. Deathly Hallows Part 1 got 4.5 stars, whereas Deathly Hallows Part 2, I gave 5.5 stars, and that is my favourite Harry Potter movie. The next day, today as of recording this, we watched The Last Duel. The Last Duel was directed by Ridley Scott, who has been very controversial recently. He said some pretty fun things. I've made fun of it, but I will give him his due. The Last Duel is pretty good. Jodie Comer as the lead actress was fucking amazing. I think as much as I have a bit of a hate boner for Adam Driver at times, he was also really, really good. And Matt Damon as well, who I've never really watched any movies of, to be brutally honest with you. He was good. The film deals with real events. It is based on a true story. It's very harrowing. I'm not normally a fan of these period piece films, but The Last Duel sets it up in a way that is done super well. I'm talking costume design, set design, everything is done really well to give an authentic feel to the environment. And everyone in the film acts their ass off to the point where they really blend into these roles. The main scene in particular, the main disruption to this film is genuinely disturbing to watch. And I was completely blown away at the acting from Jodie Comer in this moment. I think when you look at films she's had this year, like Help and The Last Duel, I genuinely am struggling to understand why she isn't a household name at this point. Like, she is so good. She's a bit like Florence Pugh in that she can just blend into a character with ease, and any emotion she needs to portray, she portrays it to the highest degree possible. The Last Duel has some of the best acting that 2021 has to offer, and keep an eye out for this film at next month's Film Awards. Okay, I also just forgot that I didn't even give that a star rating. It was 3.5 stars, that's what I gave The Last Duel. I'm sorry for forgetting. Like I said, we're still ironing out little issues with this thing. It's gonna get better. Hello, I'm coming at you live on the set of filming the Spider-Man videos that you watched last month. Couple of things since we last updated. So on the 3rd, I watched 2014's Non-Stop starring Liam Neeson. I thought this one was pretty good. I wasn't overly gripped by it, but I think Liam Neeson playing Liam Neeson on a plane, it's always going to be at least decent, and that's what it was because I gave it 3 stars. Moving on the 4th, I watched The Power of the Dog, starring Benedict Cumberbatch. This one I didn't enjoy as much as I was expecting to, based on what people told me. Didn't hate it, I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was pretty great, but it didn't quite interest me as much as I wanted it to. Again, I gave it 3 stars. Also on the 4th, literally right after Power of the Dog, I watched the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid Disney Plus exclusive. Surprisingly didn't hate this. It's another 3 stars, I don't think it's anything special, but it's a hell of a lot better than The Long Haul. Last but not least for the 4th, I watched Baby Driver. And again, I think Baby Driver was actually pretty good. I gave it 4 stars. I love Edgar Wright's style, so I'm surprised it took me this long to watch it, but I'm glad I have. So yeah, 4 stars. And before I know it, it's the 27th, and I haven't recorded anything for this since the last time you saw. Now on the 7th began the run-up to the Spider-Man No Way Home event that we were all waiting for. The big culmination of every Spider-Man film coming into one. This was your Endgame moment, this was better than Endgame. But before we got there, the 7th saw me watching Sam Raimi's Spider-Man from 2002, and as usual, I fucking love it. I am going to speed ahead through a lot of this because of the fact that I am running very late with this. So this is going to be a very rushed month, this one. I'm sorry. On the 8th, I watched Spider-Man 2 and I gave it a 5-star. On the 9th, I watched Spider-Man 3 and I gave that one a 5-star because that movie is fucking good. Also on the same day, I posted the Spider-Man 3 video, which you can check out above my head here. That would be pretty cool. Moving on the 10th, I watched The Amazing Spider-Man, which was my favourite Spider-Man movie before starting this rewatch. It's not anymore. But on the 11th, my birthday, my 21st birthday, on the same day that I posted the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video, I also watched The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is now my second favourite Spider-Man movie. I gave that one 5 stars. Becoming a common theme. On the 12th, I watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, gave it a 5-star. On the 13th, I released a Spider-Man Homecoming video and I also watched Spider-Man Homecoming. Again, a 5-star movie. On the 14th, I watched Spider-Man Far From Home and I gave it a 2 out of 5. I really don't like this movie and I am completely fucking with you. I am not part of the high top crowd. Far From Home is fucking amazing. I love it. 5 stars. And then came the day, December 15th, Spider-Man No Way Home. This was it, the UK getting blessed. We got this film early and we got a masterpiece. Now, I don't want to say anything on No Way Home because you're getting my video on the 14th of January. So I am revealing nothing until then. On the 17th, I went back to the cinema to see it a second time, and I loved it just as much, if not more. On the 20th, the festivities begun. We finally got a reason for this jumper. I watched The Grinch, not the good version and not the old cartoon. I watched the 2018 version starring Benedict Cumberbatch, and it shocks me that it's probably Illumination Entertainment's best movie, and it's still only a 2.5 star. 22nd saw me finishing Hawkeye with its finale episode. And I really liked Hawkeye. Again, I can't say much on it. I'm not even going to reveal the star rating because of the fact that there is a video coming on it this month. Also on the 22nd, I watched the Gremlins and Gremlins 2. I'd seen Gremlins before, and I remember liking it. This second time, again, I liked it. I thought it was dumb fun, and I gave it a 6 out of 10 or a 3 stars. The second one, which I watched for the first time, I had a lot of fun with. I thought it was the perfect amount of cheesy, over-the-top humour that someone like me just finds hilarious. I don't know, man. I really like this one, and I gave that one a 7 out of 10, or a 3.5 stars. I've really got to decide which one of those I want to go with. Still on the 22nd, I didn't realise I had that little of a life on that day. I watched How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and I watched, this was the older one, this was the original cartoon. And I gave it 4 stars. For the first time watching it, I thought this was a very solid short. Tells so much by doing so little, and it's very colourful and very nice to look at. The 23rd, we watched the real Grinch movie, the Jim Carrey Grinch movie. This is my favourite, or one of my favourite Christmas movies. I always watch this at least once every Christmas. This time it was only once, but I adore it, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. 24th, apparently again, I didn't have a life here. Now I think what happened here is on the 24th I've registered Home Alone. I think I watched that the night of the 23rd, but it bled into like past midnight. Home Alone's better than I've been giving it credit for. I gave it a 4 stars. I then followed that up the morning of the 24th by watching Home Alone 2, and I didn't have as much fun with this one. I gave it a 3 stars. It's fine, it's dumb fun, but it's not an amazing movie. It's not a great time. 24th, Christmas Eve, I also did what any reasonable person would do, and I went to the cinema to watch Spider-Man No Way Home, because you've got to treat yourself at Christmas. It's a stressful time. You know the drill already. I gave it a 5 stars. I don't think we need to touch on that any more than I already have. The Christmas Eve fun continues, because then I watched Elf, and I can confidently say with my full chest that Elf is one of the most overrated Christmas movies, if not most overrated movies I have ever seen. I've never really got the fascination with this movie. Even as a child, I didn't like it. I think the only merit to take away from it is that Will Ferrell plays an excellent man-child, and that he is annoying, and I want nothing more than to never ever watch this movie again. 2 stars. We ended the 24th on what is my favourite Christmas movie, and that is The Nightmare Before Christmas. I absolutely love it. I gave it 5 stars. I feel like this was a no-brainer. And on Christmas Day, yes, because I was that lonely that I still watched the movie on Christmas Day, I watched Black Christmas, which is a horror movie, which is a video that I was supposed to be making a video essay on for Christmas, and I never got round to actually doing it because I'm lazy. It's probably my second favourite Christmas movie. Again, I gave it a 5 stars because I just love it that much. Starting to notice a pattern where the further you get away from Christmas with these Christmas movies, the more I tend to like them. Can't tell if that says something about me. Boxing Day was a 3-film bonanza. We started off with Duel because it was on TV. I'd never seen this one before. I gave it a 3 stars. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was bad as I remember reviews saying when it was first released, but again, nothing to shout home about. I think it's a first role for Robert Downey Jr. to take since leaving the MCU. Could have done a lot better.
probably won't go back to it, but I enjoyed what I saw. If I have to summarize it, and then I watched Sister Act. Bit of a weirder choice, I know. I will accept that, but it was on TV, and I remember having this film on videotape when I was younger, and I remember watching it when I was younger. Um, Again, I thought it was fun. I gave it another 6 stars. I cannot tell you what the movie's about, but I know at one point nuns are held at gunpoint. Finally, I watched Marked for Death, which was something that my brother decided to watch on Disney Plus. So I thought, yeah, I'll watch it. I'll pay attention and see what's up. Very much regret it. It was a 2.5 stars. Didn't really think much of it at all. I can't even remember much of the movie at all by this point. And then that brings us to the 27th, which is today, as of recording this. I watched Bolt. This is a movie that I remember loving as a child, so now watching it back and being able to tell you that it's a 2-star movie, I don't know what the fuck I was seeing when I was younger. I mean, it just ends on such a weird note. It doesn't feel like that's the ending. I also watched The Boss Baby because, again, it was on TV, and I thought, why not? It's Christmas. I'll probably never watch it again. And it's a Tobey Maguire movie. And we all know I've already seen Tobey Maguire 3 times this month. Let's just do it again. Actually, no, it's 6 times because I watched the Raimi trilogy, didn't I? So I watched The Boss Baby, and I gave it a 2-star. Most of you would argue it probably deserves less. I disagree. And I'm not going to justify that. And finally, what I just finished watching right as I sat down to record this, Murder on the Orient Express. Now, I want to like this movie. I really do. It has Daisy Ridley in it. We all know how I feel about Daisy Jazz Isabel Ridley. Yeah, we don't have to go over that again. But I just can't get to grips with this movie. It's a 3-star, okay? I gave it a 2.5 when I first watched it at the start of the year. I've upped it half a star by then. I get the appeal. I get why people enjoy this. But for me, just doesn't interest me. The ending feels far too grand and it doesn't feel earned, if that makes sense. It feels like it's going for something much bigger than what the story set up. And that concludes this month. I have burned myself out on movies. I've watched multiple over the last few days, each day. And I'm kind of tired and I want a bit of a rest and I need to do work on some videos that are coming soon. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Last Month I Watched, and I hope to see you in the next one where you're finding out what I watched in January. But anyway, leave a like if you enjoyed it. Feel free to let me know what you've been watching, what's been your favourite viewing for this month, and I guarantee you I can guess it's No Way Home. So yeah, I have been Jordan. I apologise that I know this episode has been lower in quality. I hope I can up it for February. It's just with Christmas at work. I was, a bit busy. Kind of haven't recorded anything in between like days like I was planning on. Just after I watch a film, quickly sit down and go, yeah, this is what I watched right now. I've been super tired. But yeah, this video's been a fucking train wreck.